don't under-promote yourself. They have an aversion to self-promotion, to getting ahead. Question number one, if you became more powerful and influential, would the world be worse off or better off? What do you really believe, worse off or better off? Now, I've met a lot of great coaches. You know what I think? I think the world would be better off. Number two, all you coaches that are listening, many of you at least, just trying to become more influential, promoting your own brand. Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Now, I'm going to teach you coaches a great lesson. Coaches, are you ready? I like to do this before I begin. Are we ready?
Yes.
Breathe, center yourself.
Yes.
I like this chant.
Mm-hmm.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. All right, it's showtime. Let's go.
Welcome to the Leadership Standard. I'm Jamie Mason Cohen, your host for Season 5. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at the questions about what executive coaches can do to better promote themselves. What does it mean to be a humble leader? How do you receive feedback effectively with your team? In this episode, we're going to be talking with Marshall Goldsmith and Scott Osman, the best-selling authors of the best-selling book, Becoming Coachable, along with Jacqueline Lane, their co-author. Marshall is in the Thinkers 50 Hall of Fame. He was recently named by LinkedIn the #1 leadership and management thought leader in the world with 1.5 million followers, me being one of them. He is also the only 2-time leadership thinker in the world. He has sold 4 million copies of his books, and he is a 4-time New York Times bestselling author. He will be joined by Scott Osman. Scott is the co-creator and CEO of 100 Coaches and 100 Coaches Agency, as well as being the lead author on the book, Becoming Coachable. Without further ado, it's an honor and a pleasure to introduce Marshall Goldsmith and Scott Osman. Welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you so much.
Scott, who was your first coach, and what principles or values do you embody from what you learned from them?
Great question, Jamie. I have to say a lot of my success has come from coaching experiences. And my first coach, a gentleman named Gene, my biggest challenge was accepting things the way they were. Right? I found I didn't have any like major hurdles. Things were pretty good. And I started working with Gene, and Gene said, just accepting things as good enough is a huge barrier to your growth and success. And we have to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs and help you work on expansion. And that one piece of advice that I've used over and over and over again has created monumental success.
That's really helpful, being good enough and allowing myself to be present with what is, and then learn from it and accept feedback and move forward. Marshall, who was your first coach, and what principles or values do you embody from what you learned from them?
Well, I've been very, very fortunate. I'd call them coaches or mentors, some of the great iconic people in our field: Paul Hersey, Kim Blanchard, Peter Drucker, Warren Bennis, Richard Beckhardt, Francis Hesselbein. So I've been very, very lucky. Paul Hersey is a great case study, and I'll just share one event. I went to work with him, wanted to be like him, learned to teach classes like him, made a lot of money. He called me in, he said, "Oh, well, you're really screwing up." I said, what's the problem? He said, "Well, yeah, you make a lot of money." I said, "Well, okay." Customer's real happy. "Yeah, you love what you're doing." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He said, "That is the problem. You're too comfortable, and you're never going to be who you could be." And really inspired me to do thinking and writing and go beyond where I was, because I was happy. I was doing great. And he said, key words: you can be more. You can be more. Very, very useful for me. Very helpful, very inspirational.
Marshall, I don't think I ever realized that your coaching, my coaching, very similar, right? Don't be satisfied with where you are. Like, recognize that where you are, even though you think it's good enough in the moment, is not using your full potential.
Yeah, I think someone wrote a book about that called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." I forget.
It's a great book. It's a great, catchy.
Never heard of it. Oh, okay. That's right. Scott, what are some traits that make Marshall so effective as a coach?
Wow. I have been now a student of Marshall for over a decade. And I would say the 2 traits that make Marshall most effective is that he has an unbelievable ability to listen incredibly clearly to what is the situation and what is going on. Then he has the uncanny, and I would suggest some people would say unfortunate ability to communicate equally clearly to the person so that they hear it in an unequivocal way. A lot of coaches, they don't pull the punches, but they try to find a soft way to communicate something, and they try to make the person not feel too bad. Marshall has none of those problems. Marshall, I would say Marshall, not unfair, may even enjoy making sure that the person hears his thoughts with the most impact possible. And that's important working with the people that Marshall works with. He often works with people who are, they're pretty thick-skinned, and they're pretty important people, and they don't really think they have much to work on. But it's important for every coach to understand that the most important thing, the most loving thing, candidly, they can do is be clear and honest with the people that they're working with.
In your book with Marshall and Jacqueline, you were asked years ago, what's something that you want to improve, or what's a problem that you have? And you said, I don't think I have one. And you realized over time that, yes, you did have things that you needed to improve upon. And it was a coach who helped you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
My life was going smoothly a few years ago, and I was asked that same question. And I thought, no, I don't have any major problems. I'm good. Realize the older I get, I can be reactive. I can be impatient, especially if I have multiple things going on. And sometimes that is projected onto my kids, my 12 and 13-year-old. That's not who I am. There's a gap there. I feel I related to that.
Yeah.
I've got a suggestion for everyone listening. I always ask my coaching clients to pick, one thing for them to do better. I say, well, pick one thing that's very important. And if any of them ever say, well, I'm not sure I have anything to improve, my suggestion is pick humility.
How do you define humility within the coaching relationship?
Well, to me, that's a key variable. What are the key variables for becoming coachable? Three things I look at are number one is courage. Everyone I coach gets feedback. It takes courage to look in a mirror and get feedback. Two, it takes humility to admit you can get better. Look, I cannot make perfect people improve. If somebody's perfect, they don't need me. And then number three is discipline. You have to do the hard work to get better. Courage, humility, and discipline, three key factors.
Okay. What did you see in Scott when you partnered with him? What is it about Scott that really leapt out at you, which you said, I want to partner with him and I trust him?
Well, I think, you just said the word yourself is trust. Scott to me is eminently believable. He's not a bullshitter. And, what he says is what he means. And he's a very believable, real person, which to me is, it's a huge part of any battle.
You came from a background of portrait and fashion photography, as you called it, a first career. And I related to that because I've had several careers. What have you incorporated from your other careers into your coaching?
I love that question. I really do, because I think about it a lot. My first career, as you mentioned, was fashion portrait photography. I then spent a couple decades in brand strategy, working with global brands, helping position everything else, and now in coaching. And I think what is the through line for me is that I have this ability, whether it's through photography or working with brands or working with people, is to see them fully, really have an honest recognition of who that person is, what that person needs, without any judgment. And that's really sort of the key, because the integrity of just seeing is so important in all of those fields. And then from that point of view of seeing with integrity, seeing with fullness, I can then say, what is the potential here? What can I do to help create flourishing? So in the example of portrait and fashion photography, what can I do to be able to present this person as completely and fully, and candidly, sometimes beautifully as I possibly can? In the case of branding, what can I do to help this company look their best, but still be honest and authentic? And now in the case of coaching, how do I bring the best coach to bear for this person so they can have the fullest leadership career that's possible for them and candidly have the most impact on the company?
Marshall, one thing that we talked about in preparing for this is a project you're working on called Feedforward. Can we dive into what Feedforward is?
Feedforward is perfect for this group. And by the way, I love what your group does. I love the idea of a small group of people working together, trying to help each other, having a coach. So I am a 100% fan of this concept. I'm familiar with your work and I'm a big believer in it. Feedforward is perfect for this. Now, let me describe how my coaching works very quickly and how Feedforward fits in. Some people say I'm anti-feedback. That is not true at all. Every one of my clients gets confidential feedback. So let's imagine I'm coaching you. You get confidential feedback. Then you pick what you want to improve. That's approved by this. If you're not the CEO, by the CEO. If you are the CEO, by the board. You pick what you want to improve. And then I teach you how to talk to people. But after that, it's all about feed forward. It sounds like this. I got that confidential feedback. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you participating in this process. Here's what I feel good about. And you talk about the positives. Then feed forward. You say, you know what? I'm not going to ask you for more feedback about the past. I'm not going to ask you for more feedback about the past. Let's focus on the future. I'm going to ask you to give me ideas for the future. For example, I want to be a better listener. If I haven't listened in the past, I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies. No excuse. I can't change the past. I'm going to ask you, moving forward, please give me ideas to help me be a great listener. And whatever you're going to say, whatever you say, I can't promise I'm going to do everything. I'm going to listen. I'm going to take notes and say thank you and do what I can. And then you do that over and over. And, I wrote an article called Leadership as a Contact Sport, 86,000 people. This stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Positive, simple, and focused. And you can do it in your little groups. Have people do feed forward. Here's what I'm working on. Give me an idea. Just say thank you, though. Don't judge, don't critique, and don't argue.
Yeah, and that is so relevant for these groups. There's a level of intimacy and confidentiality.
Yeah, Jamie, I'll just emphasize what Marshall just said because it's so easy to miss it. And that is, just say thank you when you get the feed forward. As soon as you start arguing or judging, even saying thank you, yeah, that was great feed forward. Now everybody else is competitive with each other's feed forward. It's this complete non-attachment to what you're receiving, recognizing it's a gift that makes it magic.
That was excellent. And thank you for clarifying that. I had dinner with a famous author recently, and he asked me, hey, what are you doing tomorrow morning? Would you watch my talk? I said, I'd be honored. And so I went to see his talk. I took notes. And then at the end, he said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. There was a moment when I thought, do I just say great work and keep it simple because I want to develop this relationship? He took out a pen and paper and started taking notes. At the end of it, he paused and he said, it's rare when we get this level of feedback from our peers. He said, thank you. Someone at his level said, thank you for the feedback. I reached out to our community and I said, what questions would you have for Scott and Marshall?
Sounds great.
So the first question is, how will AI change coaching over the next 5 years?
I think everybody is in agreement that AI is going to have a profound impact on coaching. I think it's going to have an impact in two different layers. I think there's a lot of work that's currently being done by coaches that AI will do incredibly well. The part about coaching that helps you get good certain kinds of feedback, I think AI will do well, give certain kinds of coaching interaction well, but the humanity of working with a person and being held personally accountable, that I think for a long time is still going to be something that's held by a true human being. Many people, I think, may work with AI and allow it to remind them to do something, but I think there's a difference between being reminded and being held accountable. So I think if I were coaching, I would be thinking, how do I lean into the human skills more? I also think that like all coaches should be considering how AI can help their coaching practice and not just say like, I'm going to have nothing to do with AI. I think every great coach is going to be, working with AI in a very profound way, if not now, like within days.
Yeah, I like AI. I've got my own Marshall Goldsmith.ai. I'd like anybody to go there and you can ask a question like you can say, how can I be a better delegator, for example, or how can I be a better listener, or and what it provides is not what a coach does as such, though. I don't see it as a coaching bot. It's basically knowledge sharing. And, in terms of knowledge sharing, I mean, you got to face reality. Knowledge sharing, it knows everything I know and a lot more. For example, my daughter Kelly asked it, how's your coaching related to utilitarian philosophy? Well, I don't even know what utilitarian philosophy is. It studies utilitarian philosophy, studies my coaching, it answers the question just like that. In a way exactly like I would have answered the question that way had I done the study of utilitarian philosophy. So, it is mind-blowing. And by the way, it's only going to get better. Now, one thing I do have advice for all the coaches is this train has left the station. A bunch of coaches sitting around, should we have AI or not? Well, it's, that's almost childish. So if you ask it to become a better delegator, it's essential to focus on delegating more effectively rather than simply delegating more. Here are some steps you can take. 1. Understand your team's readiness. Begin by having one-on-one conversations with each of your direct reports. Discuss their key areas of responsibility and ask them 2 important questions. Are there areas where I can let go more and delegate to you? Are there areas where I need to be more involved and provide more help? It goes on.
Yeah. For those who were listening to the podcast, not watching it, that wasn't Marshall talking. That was Marshall. Thank you for that distinction.
That's a very good point. That was not, well, it was sort of me. It was the computerized version of me. And it is only going to get better and better and better. And this is reality. So the reality is AI is not going to go away. It's here to stay. And I think it's a great tool for coach. I use it all the time. I use it in my coaching because, as Scott said, the human being is not going to go away. I've got some other things we can talk about later. I think there's going to be more demand for coaching in the future, a lot more, and I'll talk about why. But the thing that AI can provide is information. And I mean, instant information, just like that, and high quality information. So I use it with my clients. Often comes, I don't remember everything. I've written or edited 60 books. I can't remember all this stuff. This guy remembers everything. And so it provides very, very high quality information instantaneously. Pour devenir un meilleur délégateur, il est essentiel de se concentrer sur la délégation efficace plutôt que simplement sur la délégation fréquente.
I love how they got Marshall's speaking French in Marshall's accent. Yes. They didn't go with a full-on, like, perfect French accent. It's like, still sounds like Marshall.
So anyway, yeah, I'm speaking 32 languages now. So, you know, it is mind-blowing how good, and what you see now, it's not going to get worse. It is going to get so much better than what it is now. So it's in the very primitive stages. My advice to all the coaches, though, is, look, this is your friend, and this train has left the station. This train has left the station. A bunch of coaches sitting around talking about, I'm not sure we should support AI. We'll grow up. You know, this is the real world. And I'm not sure I'd use a telephone. Well, you know, there are telephones here. So this is it. And this is not going to change. This is real. I think it's a value add to the coaches. Just the coaches need, as Scott said, to know how to use it. And they know how to use it, but to sit there and say, well, I'm not sure I should use that. That's going backwards.
There are components of coaching that will stay the same, and there are values that we can preserve. So to refer directly to the book, this book is intended to demystify the process and illuminate the path to personal enlightenment by emphasizing the point of view of those being coached, the coachable. It's fundamentally about the power of relationships, namely the coach-client relationship to transform lives. Not surprisingly, it was born through relationship and collaboration.
This is bad news and good news. The bad and good news is mid-management is getting whacked around the world right now. And there's going to be more and more employees per manager. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story, but it has a kind of a serious positive note for coaches. I think the need for coaches is going to go up, not down. For human coaches, is going to go up, not down. I'm coaching at General Mills. Steve Sanger was the CEO back in the day, right? And he wanted me to coach this big executive of his. I said, Steve, what do you want me to do this for? You've been to my coaching yourself. I've coached another guy. You know exactly how I coach people. Steve, look, you can do this as well as I can do it. Why do you want me to do it? Steve said something really very profound. He said, number one, he said, you're expensive, but I'm more expensive. And he said, number two, you said I can do it as well as you can. No, I can't. Let's get real. He said to me, you're better and cheaper. So explain to me why I should not hire you. I said, okay, hire me. Well, now I'm kind of joking around and kind of not joking around. Managers are going to have no time. When they're going to have no time, the coach is going to be actually more economical than the manager trying to do it ineffectively themselves. And three, the coach is going to be better at it. So I don't see this. I would have said it was a bad idea until I had to talk with Steve Sanger. He pointed it out to me. It's not bad. So I think, moving forward, this is going to become not less important. I think coaching is going to become more important.
Yeah. Jamie, the other thing I've observed is as you go higher and higher up the leadership ladder, your world gets smaller and more lonely, right? There's fewer people who tell you the truth. There's fewer people you can go and ask for advice until ultimately, when you're the CEO, you can't ask advice for the board. They're your boss. You can't advise for your C-suite. You can ask some kinds of advice, but your C-suite, they report to you. You're their boss. So who are you going to go to get unadulterated, unfettered advice? It has to be a coach. And I think that's true from the beginning that you begin the leadership journey, like that first rung from you go from being a manager to a leader. You need someone there to help you tell you the truth, see around corners, find your blind spots, help you grow and be more effective. And it just gets more and more important as you go. That is nothing that AI will ever do for you. AI is going to give you great advice on how to be a leader, but to see the blind spots and give you that, be in relationship with you, that is something only a coach can do.
It's that human connection that can't be outsourced.
Yep. It's that, and the beautiful quote that you read. This is fundamentally about being in relationship. That is what coaching's about. It's what leadership is about also, by the way. I just recently read something, could have been Marshall. What is the fundamental thing that a leader does? Like, we all think about like leaders, and they have to a leader has to have followers, right? If you can't get people to follow you, you are not a leader. And followership and leadership is all about relationship. That is the place that great coaches excel.
Another question from the community: what is your continuing education process?
For me, it's daily. Speaking of AI, I'm on AI daily. I'm asking questions. I'm learning. I do this every day. So for me, my whole life is continuing education.
Yeah. One of the most fortunate places, I think, in the world of coaching, we have, 100 coaches. We have 100 coaches in our network. I am in constant communication with them, hearing about what they're doing, learning about what's happening with them, hearing about obstacles they've overcome, and hearing about accomplishments they've achieved. And I get to experience the diversity of coaching and coaching experience. And it is an ever-changing world, and it's a place for me to always be learning and then sharing that learning back out.
I'm working on a new project now, which I love. It's called Marshall Goldsmith Advisors, not even a net yet. Marshall Goldsmith Advisors. So that's what I'm doing kind of instead of coaching now. It's not really coaching, it's advising. But clients call me now. And basically, I have a team of great people that I can contact. And it's based on the Mayo Clinic model, where they actually get to talk to all these other people that are like a client where right now is going to be talking with Martin Lindstrom, world's expert on branding, Jim Kim, former president of the World Bank. I mean, we're talking some big people here. I am personally participating in every conversation myself. Why? Not for their needs. I like to learn. It's a great, great experience for me. So that's what I'm working on right now. Marshall Goldsmith Advisor is really fun. It's a brand new idea. And what I like about it, as Scott said, enables me not only to coach, but to learn.
Marshall, I read, what are the questions you ask yourself each day?
Well, I'll go first since I kind of invented this. I use something called the daily question process every day. And I'm going to give everyone listening 6 questions. If they do nothing but these 6 questions every day, they're going to have a better life. 6 questions, and it takes 2 minutes a day, and half the people that start are going to quit in 2 weeks. Let me explain it. The 6 questions all begin with a phrase called, did I do my best to? Did I do my best to? Now, my daughter Kelly is a professor at Vanderbilt. She taught me this. Get people to challenge themselves. If I ask you, are you happy? You say, no, well, why not? The car wreck, whatever. Somebody else's fault. Did you do your best to be happy? You have to take responsibility. 1, did I do my best to set clear goals every day? 2, did I do my best to make progress toward the goals I set every day? Number 3, did I do my best to find meaning? Rather than wait for the world to create meaning for you, did you do your best to create meaning? Number 4, did I do my best to be happy? Rather than having the rest of somebody else make you happy, did you make yourself happy? And then next, did I do my best to build positive relationships? Rather than that employee engagement question, do you have a friend at work, which I always thought was kind of a dubious question. Are you the friend? And then finally, number 6, did you do your best to be fully engaged? Rather than waiting for the world to engage you, engage yourself. Every day is 6 questions. I've been doing this for years. I have someone call me up, though, to help me with my daily questions, which are a big list. I have someone call me every day. Why? Back to coaching. You see, my name is Marshall Goldsmith. I am too cowardly and undisciplined to do any of the things I teach by myself. I need help. And it's okay. I'm not better than my clients. They're way better than me in many things. I need help. It's okay. I'm not, you think I don't need help? I need plenty of help.
Yeah. Jamie, so what Marshall's referring to, Daily Questions, I'll just prompt for his book. It's from the book Triggers, which is one of the top 100 business books of all time. It's an extraordinary book. I also do the Daily Questions. I also do it with a partner. My partner and I have been doing Daily Questions now consistently for over 5 years. And what I've found is we always ask the 6 questions that Marshall just asked. And then we have a group of personal questions. And then we have a group of business questions. They are, as Marshall said, questions that we wrote for ourselves, and we give ourselves the grade. They always start with, did I try my best to? But over that time, both personally and in business, these questions have helped me, maybe have been the reason that I have made measurable and meaningful personal and business changes in my life. It's a very, very powerful tool.
And by the way, there's an article I wrote. Send me an email if anyone listening, marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com. I'll send you an article about the 6 questions. There are videos about it, articles. Again, I give everything away. So everything I teach, by the way, if you're concerned about intellectual property, I have the world's best intellectual property system. It is impossible to steal anything I do. Why? I give it away. So you can't steal what people give you.
You've built this remarkable community. Can you share some tips on how to build community?
So the story that we tell, which is true, is Marshall called me up and he said, I want to teach 15 people everything I know about coaching. Will you help me? And I said yes. And he put up a video on LinkedIn. 18,000 people applied. We picked 25 people and we ran a weekend. It was so much fun. We did it again and again. Here's what built community. Number one, we led with generosity. There was no cost. Marshall was giving away knowledge. And the core of everything we do is generosity. We talk about 100 Coaches Agency as a relationship first company. When I talk to a prospective new client, the first thing I tell them is, my goal is for you to have the right coach. Whether it comes from us or not is irrelevant to me. But if I can give you the information that helps you identify that someone else is a great coach, I consider that to be a win. So number one, lead with generosity. And number two, always maintain integrity. And integrity takes a lot of different forms. It's manifest a lot in your reputation. But man, this is one of those truisms. It takes, years, decades, a lifetime to build a reputation and days to lose it. And I think that everything we do, whenever we do it, to the best of our ability, we are always leading with integrity and generosity. And that is what brings people around, and people want to follow that.
Thank you.
Yeah. That is, and honestly, I think that is my nature. I really learned, Marshall as my coach leads by that example. And I think that's been a wonderful learning and seasoning and growing for me, is watching kind of the generosity and integrity that he lives his life with.
The value of generosity was woven throughout. That part of the book was helpful to me.
Jimmy, I'll add one more quick thing. And that is, so we wrote the book. Actually, we wrote the first two parts of the book and we thought we were done. And then we kind of look at it and we're not done. And the question we asked ourselves is, to what end? Why do all of this? Why be generous? Why have integrity? And the answer for us was, and this is the third part of the book, because we are all doing this to create human flourishing. Everything about coaching, everything about the world that we're in is about creating better leaders to create better communities, better families, better businesses. We're just advancing humanity in a positive direction so that we all grow together. And I think that's also a great North Star for anyone who wants to be a leader, is recognize. And Marshall, I think about the people that you've coached, like Ellen Mullally and Dr. Jim Kim.
Right.
Like they knew, the people following them knew that they mattered to those leaders, right? That the leader wanted to create a more flourishing company and community and world, and they were willing to follow them on that journey and support them for that endeavor. And I think that is one of the real hallmarks of great leadership.
Beautifully said.
I got some coaching I want to give to the listeners. So are you ready? All right. Now, I've done a lot of work with coaches. So you coaches, I'm going to give you some advice, and you may not like to hear all of it. Are you ready, coaches? First, Peter Drucker taught me some great lessons. Our mission in life is to make a positive difference, not to prove we're smart, not to prove we're right. 2, decisions are made by decision makers. They don't got to buy, we got to sell. Now, the coaches that I work with tend to be really great people. And my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, is about people that oversell. They try to be right too much. They add too much value. Many coaches have exactly the opposite problem. They underpromote themselves. They underpromote themselves. And this is something I've talked about with thousands of coaches. Don't underpromote yourself. They have an aversion to self-promotion, to getting ahead. Now, I'm going to teach you coaches a great lesson. Coaches, are you ready? Question number 1. If you became more powerful and influential, would the world be worse off or better off? What do you really believe? Worse off or better off? Now, I've met a lot of great coaches. You know what I think? I think the world would be better off. Number 2, all you coaches that are listening, many of you at least, just trying to become more influential, promoting your own brand. Does it make you feel uncomfortable? No, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like to do that. For most coaches, yes. Okay, coaches, here's a hard coaching advice for you. What's more important to you? Making a positive difference in the world or being comfortable? You want to keep being comfortable? Keep doing that. You want to make a more positive difference? Get out there and build a good brand.
That is great advice. If you don't do it, then how are other people supposed to know who you are and what value you add?
That's one reason so many coaches are underpaid.
Yeah, I hear it also. A lot of coaches they're worried. They're worried that they'll look too salesy. To a person, if you're worried that you're going to look too salesy, you're never going to look too salesy. Like that fear, you're never going to totally displace it. It's always going to be there. It's always going to hold you back. Push it. As far as you're uncomfortable, you're still not going to even get close. The other thing I'd say is, look, promotion itself has no positive or negative value, right? We all understand promotion's a thing in the world. Some people use it for good. Some people use it for evil. So use promotion for good. And as Marshall said, good is you add value. People need to know about you and understand you so that you can add more value.
Yeah, if you're adding value and you're telling practical stories of your clients, then how is that bragging or how is that self-aggrandizement? One other question that I heard was from the community was, how can leaders best embrace vulnerability during the coaching process?
Marshall, you're a master at that. Do you want to?
Well, every leader I coach, they have to have that. It's not a vote. They all apologize. They all say, I got feedback. Thank you. I feel good about this. Thank you. Here's what I want to do better. Thank you. I'm sorry for the mistakes I made in the past. I can't change them. I'm going to try to get better. Every leader I coach does this. Now I'm asking a question. How do I convince people to do this that don't want to? And the answer is, I don't. If they don't want to do it, fine, don't. They don't want to be vulnerable, don't. You don't want to get better, don't. The only thing is, don't waste my time. I don't care if you want to get better or not. You're an adult. But to me, everybody has to be vulnerable. Everybody has to say, I get a bit better. If they don't, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
But what is the point? I didn't get paid as a coach for 45 years. My clients didn't change. So, I don't judge people, but also I don't waste my time. Why would I coach somebody that didn't think they needed to improve? I wouldn't.
Yeah. Jamie, in the book, Becoming Coachable, one of the first rules of becoming coachable is being open to change.
The final question, how can we find out more about the work you're doing? I highly recommend the book. But what else should we be looking at with our community?
I mean, you can find out everything about me and the 100 coaches at 100coaches.com. That's 1coaches.com. I think there's probably a website for the book also, becomingcoachable.com. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn also that I'm quite proud of. Love to have more followers of that. But every week for the last 4 years, I've been writing a little piece of leadership advice that comes from my experience of the world. What I'm really doing there is trying to demonstrate that leadership is everywhere, all around us, if we just know how to look for it. Marshall?
Yeah, my advice, number one, go to marshallgoldsmith.ai. It's all free. By the way, the trick, it's not one of these things, you do this, but you pay extra. You get to go to the Happy Club, pay a little bit more, go here. No, this is actually free. It's not fake free. So go to marshallgoldsmith.ai, start asking questions. It's good now, but it's going to get so much better. Number two, marshallgoldsmith.com. I have free courses for coaches, 30 videos, all free. So go there. And then LinkedIn. Scott, I'm a little disappointed. I only have 1.58 million followers on LinkedIn. I can use a few more.
You're slacking, Marshall.
Anybody wants to come to LinkedIn, I can stand another follower or two. I can't have any more connections because they cap that out. But, in terms of followers, and I post stuff on LinkedIn sometimes 5 times a day. So I'm sharing everything I know. And my mission is pretty simple in closing. Look, my mission is to help people have a little better life. And if a few people listening to us during the last hour, just based on anything I've said or we've said, had a little better life, this is an incredibly good use of my time. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Jamie.
Marshall, Scott, it's been an honor, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's fun.
no, that's wonderful.